What is happening? I'm N64 Josh, and this is another daily game vlog. Ooh, I got a good one today. Remember, we do this live on twitch.tv/N64Josh at the beginning of every stream. We try to get started around 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on twitch.tv/N64Josh. All right. We also do. I record podcasts on here. A number of podcasts: the Nintendo Powercast, the Smash Bros. Cast. So make sure to tune in. We have a really good time. You can also check out pretty much all of my content on YouTube and as well like Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. But let's get into the game vlog. And today's game is a game that probably caused me to get bad grades in high school. It was a game I played a lot. It was one of the games that was a factor in me getting the Nintendo 64. Okay? And that game is Goldeneye. That's right, Goldeneye. Can you hear the music? Doom 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 doom. Totally hear it, right? Don't forget Rumble Pack. All right, Rumble Pack. Only for the Nintendo 64. Goldeneye. So many hours. I spent so many hours playing this game. I'm fairly certain I'd have to check the timeline to see like when this game released and when Mario Kart and everything released, but I'm pretty sure what had happened is I was at a friend's house or something, and I played Goldeneye and Mario Kart, and I think I waited for my next paycheck and immediately drove to Fred Meyer, bought the system, an extra controller, Mario Kart, and Goldeneye. And the rest is kind of history. Kind of like we played so much of this game. So this game wasn't just played with friends, but it was played with my girlfriend at the time, now wife. Her dad and her sister were very into it. So we had 4-player Goldeneye happening all the time. I was ruthless. In this game. People didn't like to play with me. I had, if we did proximity mines, I had to put proximity mines in all the spawn points. So they just would come to life and die. People love that, right? People love that. That's super fun. The chat is saying that I sound like an Odd Job kind of troll. No, I kind of always played as Pierce Brosnan. I was always Bond. I wasn't interested in Odd Job. I didn't like that he was so short. I didn't like having to shoot him, I can tell you that much. But this game, it wasn't like anything else that I had played at the time, and I think that's why I immediately had to get this game and play through it over and over and over again. The controls were weird, right? If you guys remember playing first-person shooters on the Nintendo 64, a lot of us were running around with the yellow C buttons, right? And then looking around with the stick. Complete opposite of how we play now. It threw me off playing first-person shooters for quite a while. It wasn't until Halo on the Xbox that I finally was able to get used to like normal first-person shooter controls. Right? I still play inverted because of Goldeneye. I still play inverted. Go ahead and judge me. Let me know in the comments that I'm crazy, but I do. I play inverted. What's funny? My 18-year-old son also plays inverted because when he would pick up the controller when he was a kid after I'd been playing, that was just what he got used to. So he still plays inverted to this day. And I know that there are going to be comments. I know. But it's okay. We can coexist, us inverted and non-inverted gamers. I promise you. We can do this. So I had to complete everything in this game. And this game was tough. When you played on the hardest difficulty, it was no joke. You were getting shot around corners. It was no joke. So I turned to my trusty Game Shark. Now, I didn't... No, well, who knows? I may have used it to complete the hard modes. I don't remember. What I remember doing with it, some of the stuff was timed, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure I used Game Shark for that. But with the Game Shark, you could unlock every weapon in the game in multiplayer. So it opened up just a plethora of dual wielding, which wasn't in multiplayer, and all the weapons. The Game Shark also unlocked more stages. So the final stage in Goldeneye, where you are on the top of that satellite, you can actually play in multiplayer. Now, don't get too excited. Don't run out and think the cradle. That's right, Ninja Dan. There you go. So, and Jay Harley is saying, I feel cheated. Don't feel cheated, because here's what would happen. You could play for about 2 to 3 minutes before it would crash. And that's why it was not in the game. But those 2 to 3 minutes were pretty epic. I'm not going to lie. I think we could do 2-player battles with all the weapons for a little bit before it crashed. But not very long. Not very long. Most of the time we just played the game without the Game Shark. But it was the reason this game, I can guarantee you, was the reason I bought a Game Shark. I saw probably something in Game Pro or something that said, hey, you're going to be able to unlock more stages. I was like, done, right? It was like getting DLC back on the 64. And so, I mean, hours and hours and hours of multiplayer. Probably the facility was probably my favorite stage, and that stage has come back in. It came back in Perfect Dark, and it was also in Time Splitters 2, which I thought was just a great nod to the series, because Time Splitters 2 was like, that was the game I needed on GameCube. It was finally a first-person shooter that was really good, because they put out other Bond games. They just weren't quite as good. Even the other Bond, like, you could get The World Is Not Enough, I believe. Maybe Tomorrow Never Dies. I can't remember. I don't think I own it right now, but it's a blue cart. And it had loading, which I was like, the reason I have a 64 is so I don't have to have any loading, and it had loading. Anyway, it wasn't as good. The license had moved over to Activision, and they just were never able to put out a game that compared to GoldenEye. No James Bond game since has ever been as good as GoldenEye, in my opinion. Delmonic is saying The World Is Not Enough. That's what I thought. This was during the Pierce Brosnan era, so it's kind of funny because he's not the greatest Bond, but because of this game, like, my wife and I were so, like, we got into Bond because of this. So those are kind of the ones we'll go back and watch again. Like, we don't like the ones any older than that, and we like the newer ones, of course, but we really don't mind Pierce Brosnan, which, I mean, again, he's not all that great, but he's okay. So, but man, just the variety of weapons was so unique and so again, so different. I mean, all I had played as far as first-person shooters up to this point was Wolfenstein. That was it. Wolfenstein on PC, you couldn't even look up or down. It was like shareware, right? Like, you that was it. I think I played Doom on Super Nintendo. It didn't do anything for me. It didn't do anything for me. It wasn't until this game came out and I saw what multiplayer could be, and that was it. I have been a huge fan of first-person shooters ever since. Last year, one of the games I completed, Doom on the Switch. Loved it. Put it on the hardest setting and went for it. Like, really, really enjoyed it. Great time. I love shooters. So, Jay Harley is saying Slappers Only was a laugh fest. Oh yeah, sometimes we do that. Like, it was cool the way you could pick different weapon sets, and then you'd end up with something like completely terrible, like the Klob. Remember the Klob? Oh, even the sound of that gun was just so weak. It was so bad. So, but there was always the rush for the RCP 90, It was just one of those guns that fired so quickly, and I mean, you just mow people down with it. You just mowed everybody down with it. And one of the things we would the library and some of the different stages, you could go up on little perches and kind of just shoot down to the floor, and I would just sit up there forever and just wait for people to spawn in, and I'd shoot them as they came in the room. It never failed. Like, that and screen looking, right? Like, they were talking about it in chat a little bit ago, like screen looking. I've seen some crazy, some crazy inventions. So like, like the cardboard box with the blankets so that you can't see the top and bottom screen. Just nuts. We never did it, and I totally looked at everyone's screen. I'm not even ashamed. I'm not ashamed whatsoever. I looked at the screen all the time. So I knew exactly where they were, and I knew how to get the kill. And I think it's what always gave me the advantage, because I don't think anybody else was doing it. So I cheated in Goldeneye. All right. There. It's on the internet. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. Chat saying everyone's screen looked. Okay, good. I'm in good company then. I'm in good company. So I don't know if you guys remember doing this, but you could actually play the game with single player with two N64 controllers. So you could have two analog sticks if you wanted to. If you wanted to hold two controllers in your hand at the same time, that would work. That was one of the controller options. Okay. Here's a little fun fact, because of the way the controls are with this game, it can be a little tough to go back to it, right? And I've heard people say that it's it's pretty difficult to go back, and it's actually not that bad. Here's how you do it. Okay, you can hold the 64 controller similar to how you would hold the Switch Pro controller, an Xbox controller. You actually put your left hand where the D-pad is and put your right hand where the stick is, right? In the middle. Because, you gotta have three hands for the 64 controller. So you put it in the middle on the analog stick, and your left hand on the D-pad, you can run around just like you would on a modern shooter, and you can look with your stick with your right hand, and your thumb can still reach A and B. So when you want to switch weapons, open doors, that kind of stuff, it's right there. Your trigger, everything works. So it's actually pretty fun to go back to this game and play it like a modern shooter. Now, granted, the graphics aren't that great and things like that, but if you ever just want to take a little trip down memory lane, you still got a 64. Hook that thing up. Make sure on your modern TV you set the screen size so that it makes it 4:3, so that the pixels aren't stretched out and look even worse than they already do, or the polygons. And you can actually have a pretty good time playing this game. We'll set it up periodically and play a few stages, and it's really cool. It's really cool. So that's that. Here it is. One last time. Here it is. Goldeneye, Nintendo 64. In all of its glory. So good. So good. So thank you guys so much for watching the daily vlog. Remember, we do this on twitch.tv/N64Josh. If you're looking for people to play games with, come hang out in the Discord. N64Josh.com/Discord. And we'd love to have you. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.